All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us. We're very excited to be able to organize this panel of experts today to talk to you all about accessibility in college, what to expect when transitioning from high school with diverse abilities. If you're just joining, a couple of housekeeping items, please be sure to stay muted just because of the number of folks we have joining us today. You're welcome to use the chat feature, and we will get back to you as soon as we can with questions. We will have time at the end for Q&A as well. And today's meeting is being recorded, and so you'll be able to watch it later. We will send the recording out to all those who registered, and CFNC will also be putting it on our YouTube channel. So here's who you all will have today with you. Everyone's going to kind of be taking turns covering different bits of information. We have Angela, who's with Blue Ridge Community College. She's the Director of Disability Services, and she's going to be kind of kicking off after my part at the beginning. We also have DeKendrick, who is with North Carolina Central University. He's the Director of Student Accessibility Services and is also with TRIO and SASP. And then we have Ashley McKenna, who is with the North Carolina Vocational Rehabilitation Services. She's a manager there, and she's going to be providing you all with some information. We are going to have some information on UNCW Disability Alliance Association, and this is from a student perspective for students when you get to the college level. And then we'll have Brittany Privet, who's a CFNC regional representative, who'll be talking a little bit more about advocating and some other things. April Query, I'm the CFNC Regional and Community Services Manager. I'll be facilitating today's presentation and helping with that chat and kind of going through some of that. So I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. I wanted to provide a little bit of information on CFNC and what resources you might find helpful that we have, and then kind of be able to pass this over to some other folks. In case you're not familiar with it, CFNC stands for College Foundation of North Carolina, and we are a free service of the state of North Carolina and provide a lot of resources in the careers, colleges, so planning and applying to college, and as well as the financial aid, financial literacy piece of all of it. CFNC.org is the website, and as you can see here in the wheel, we have a lot of different organizations who come together and create the resources that we have for you here at CFNC. Okay, so when you go to CFNC.org, here's the homepage of what you'll see. Students are able to create a username and password, and they really should create a username and password if you plan on applying to college, sending electronic transcripts, and doing those sorts of things, as well as the RDS residency, service RDS on CFNC. So you're going to want to go through and create a CFNC account and make sure that that is there for you and you can log in. Lots of resources for you. If you go to the Plan Your Future section of the website and then head over to Plan for College, you're going to see resources listed here as students with disabilities. And there's some information here on knowing your rights as well as helpful tips for college. So we encourage you to take a look if you're looking for some basic information kind of to get started. If you click on Know Your Rights, you will find some information listed here about testing accommodations, disability disclosures, as well as admissions decisions. And on the left-hand side, you'll find some resources from the U.S. Department of Education. And you'll also find some resources here that are specific to North Carolina. And up here, we kind of left a trail so you can see where you need to find this information if you think this looks good, but where did she say to find this? So CFNC.org, Plan Your Future, Plan for College, and then Students with Disabilities. The helpful tips for college goes through some of the things that we're actually going to be talking about this afternoon, but it's just a quick at a glance for students to think about being their own advocate, you know, participating in student enrichment programs, which we'll talk a little bit about the college level, doing your research, making sure you have the support around you that you may need to make sure that you're able to, you know, continue through with all of your educational goals and have the resources there to help you as you go through it. Keep in mind that we also have a scholarship search feature on CFNC.org. If you go to the pay section of our website, Pay for College, you'll find some scholarships there. You're welcome to search through. You'll find information about the scholarship as well as the amount and the deadline. As we all know, this whole transitioning from high school to college piece includes not only the career preparation and finding the right college and making sure you understand all the right resources that you have available to you, but it is also paying for it, right? So that's another piece of it. So make sure that you use the resources that are available to you. And as CFNC, these are all free and provided by the state, okay? So if you are looking for those career resources and doing a little bit of research, we partner with NC Careers, and we have a lot of great information at your fingertips for free with NC Careers to do some research about the careers, the salary, the education and training needed, what that outlook might look like for the number of job openings and so on. And you can log in through NC Careers and CFNC with the same login, and when you save career, it is saved in your CFNC account in the dashboard. And so that's a good resource for you. Still doing a little bit of research there for those careers. And then you're able to search colleges as well. We have a good bit of information, especially for the North Carolina institutions on CFNC. If you go into plan your future and then again plan for college, you can research colleges. You can look at the type of college, program type, how big is the school, is it public or private, what type of setting is the institution on. So just some simple resources as you're considering things that we talk about today. And we also have a nice interactive map where you can get a nice, geographical look of where you are versus where the other colleges are that you may be considering across North Carolina. And earlier I mentioned RDS, Residency Determination Service. And RDS is a process that all students in North Carolina will need to go through at some point as part of the admissions and also the financial aid process to apply for in-state residency. And you do that with your CFNC login. So I just wanted to make sure that we had a slide on it so that it was out there and folks remember that to do it and let us know if you have any questions. You're going to go through an online interview as students and answer questions about parents as well in order to try and gain in-state residency for tuition purposes. And that also will affect what North Carolina grants you may be eligible for once you complete that FAFSA form. So I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that it's all kind of in the same, same wheelhouse here of what we're doing together. And if you're interested, we also have a lot of resources in Spanish. So CFNC.org can be translated into Spanish, so that's one part of it, and that's relatively new that we have available to you. And I have an arrow here where you can see where you would click to translate these into Spanish. And then also we have Spanish resources as well. So up here, you'll see where it says Espanol, where you can translate the website. And then if you look a little further over, it says resources in Spanish. And so we have resources that are specifically available in Spanish as well. If you need any more specific assistance, if you are looking for more specific assistance, we have Dr. Ramirez and Juana Hernandez, who is available to provide further information and resources to organizations, classrooms, groups, whatever it might be. So they're wonderful advocates and can provide all kinds of information in Spanish on some of the things that we're talking about today. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you for just a minute about the NC Able account, and then I'm going to be passing everything over to Angie with Blue Ridge Community College. Before I continue on, I do just want to repeat a couple of notes we said at the beginning. This presentation is being recorded, and so we will be sending out a copy of the presentation within the next week or so to all those who registered, and we will also be making it available on our CFNC YouTube channel. And we can definitely send slides out. If you're interested in having a copy of the actual slides, you can just shoot me a message over in the chat, and I'll take note once I'm kind of done talking. And again, if you're thinking, well, I joined late, who is the person talking that I need to send a message to? I'm April Query with CFNC. And so if you also don't mind muting yourself as you kind of come and go, that will be helpful since we are recording it. So in case you weren't aware, NC Able is a program that exists for students and parents to essentially save for college, okay? So this enables folks to preserve their SSI and Medicaid, and you can save for qualified disability expenses without losing some of those assistance programs like I just mentioned, okay? So I have a little bit of information just on this slide and the next slide. I really encourage you to visit the website, which I have right here, savewithable.com, and then we have specific North Carolina information if you're interested in taking advantage of this program. So I also have some information here on eligibility requirements. And so, for example, disability needs to be present before the age of 26. And then what of the following needs to be true: eligible for SSI or SSDI, and then you'll see the other ones too. So I just don't want to read off the screen for you exactly, and you do need to recertify annually. So if you are interested in this special program that enables you to save for college, specifically related to being eligible for this and maintaining your Medicaid and SSDI or SSI information, be sure to visit the website that we have here to get more information and learn about that option that might be available to you. Okay? So I am going to stop talking now and pass this over to Angie, who is with Blue Ridge Community College, and she's going to provide you with some wonderful information. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you, April. I appreciate you getting us all together like this and sharing this great information. So my name is Angie Yulkov. I am a counselor, and I'm also the Director of Disability Services at Blue Ridge Community College. We are located in the beautiful Flat Rock in Hendersonville and Brevard, North Carolina. I just want to give you a little more information about us. We do offer face-to-face classes and online classes. So if you're interested in taking some online classes but not in our area, that's okay. You can still take classes with us. We do serve students across North Carolina and in bordering states. And there is our website. If you have any questions about programs or so forth, you can find that information there. And I have the next slide. Thank you. So I just want to talk a little bit about the advantages of community colleges in general. So we do have an open door policy. So as long as an individual has a high school diploma or a GED, he or she is eligible to attend our colleges. Our in-state tuition is $76 per credit hour, so we're quite affordable. We have very small class sizes, generally speaking. So you get that more personalized education and a personal experience where your faculty members know you by name. So there are 58 of us across the North Carolina area. So we're conveniently located in your backyard. So if, again, you do not live in the mountains of North Carolina, you live someplace else, you do have a community college in your area. We do a couple of things really, really well. One of the things that we do well is transfer students to the UNC system or other independent colleges with ease. We have a number of articulation agreements to make that transition a little bit easier. We also provide very hands-on educational programs in high-demand technical fields. So if you're sitting here thinking, I don't want to go to a four-year university, I want to get a two-year degree or a diploma or a certificate in welding or cosmetology or engineering technology, something like that, we might be a really good fit for you. The other advantage of attending and then graduating from a community college is that we are very connected to the communities that we serve, including the employers. So I know over the years, I have heard many faculty members say that an employer called them asking for recommendations of folks to hire, and they hire our students very readily and happily. And then, of course, financial aid is available. Next slide, thank you. So I just want to say something about disability services. So at Blue Ridge Community College, I am the disabilities office. So there are just a few things I would like students to know: that students must reach out to reach out for accommodations. They don't necessarily automatically transfer from your high school to the college. So most of the time we need some type of documentation, the IEP, a psych eval, 504, some type of disability to document the disability so that accommodations may be provided. The next step is to have a conversation with a disability counselor, and then you agree upon the accommodations, and then the form goes to the instructor, your faculty members. That's the general process at each community college. It may be just a little bit different. But in general, that is the process. And accommodations in college are very similar to accommodations in high school. So of course, some of those common accommodations would be extra time for tests, testing in a quiet room, read aloud software, things like that. But of course, it's tailored to every student and his or her needs. And then just some things to remember just to wrap up. So community colleges are a great place to start, whether you are wanting to transfer to a university, or if you want to get prepared and go to the workforce, we can help you with both of those things. Sometimes some folks are not academically, socially, or emotionally ready to leave home and go to a university, so we are a good place to start. Our goal is to set you up for success. And then again, we are much more affordable than a lot of institutions, and we want students to leave us debt-free. In Blue Ridge, for example, this year, and I just got off of a call right before this, and next year we are going to be offering free tuition. No strings attached. So we're really happy that we're able to offer that opportunity again next year as we have this year. And I'd be happy to field any questions.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Angie. And this afternoon, if you all have questions, you're welcome to send them over in the chat, either to me or on over to whoever the person was that was speaking, or you can wait until the end. And, you know, I know that Angie has been with different wonderful community colleges across North Carolina, and she's probably familiar with how disability services, accessibility services transitioning works for a lot of students at different community colleges. So if you're, you know, if you're over on the East Coast and you're thinking, well, I'm probably not going to go to Blue Ridge, Angie's a wealth of knowledge, and she can probably help you with all kinds of different bits of information as you guys are transitioning. So like I said, feel free to send those questions over, and thank you so much, Angie. She'll be on to help with questions. And in the meantime, let's move over to Kendrick. He's going to talk to you all about North Carolina Central and some transition and disability services at this institution. Thank you, Kendrick.
Awesome. How's it going, everyone? Kendrick Murray, Director for Student Accessibility Services and our TRIO Student Access Program at North Carolina Central University. Coming to you from home. Sorry, I don't have my camera on. I have been overcoming COVID. I am almost out of it, almost out in the clear, feeling a whole lot much better, but definitely if you looked at my face right now, you'd be like, man, he is probably out of it. But super excited to chat with you all. North Carolina Central University is located in downtown Durham. We are historically Black college and university. However, we are a campus for everyone. Even when you look at our student population, only about 74% of our students are Black or African American. And so we pride ourselves in being a campus and community that any student is welcomed at and basically can succeed at. We also offer face-to-face and online courses for students. One of the cool things that I think is awesome about our campus currently is that for students with immunocompromising diseases, we actually have worked campus-wide to try to assist students where they can to have remote delivery. And in those cases where we can't, due to, of course, being a fundamental alteration, different things and stuff like that, we've tried to find different courses that students can take in order to basically help them still be successful and or, you know, have that remote delivery where possible, or hybrid options and different things like that. So that's one of the things that I've had the opportunity to love, especially working in the field of accessibility services. Next slide for me, April. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit more about accessibility at NCCU. So annually, we serve between 330 to 400 students at NCCU. For the past 2 years, we've served approximately 719 students, given COVID accommodations and different things like that. If a student has tested positive for COVID, if a student has been a close contact, and or if a student has an immunocompromising disease that, you know, could have severe impacts with COVID, we've managed that for the university as well. So we've worked a lot with the COVID management team to make sure that students receive either remote delivery, separate and reduced testing, specifically related to COVID and different things of that nature. We currently have 2 spaces on campus as well too. We have our SAS Testing and Learning Center, and this space is where students can go for separate and reduced testing, any type of learning support. So if a student is interested in learning tips and strategies about how to navigate their documented diagnosis in the college setting, they can go and get some specific support there. If students are interested in mentoring, they can visit our Access to Success Center. We have a collaborative learning space there. We're finishing up the final renovations now, but a 65-inch television for students to work on and do different types of projects, seating space, computers, laptops, MacBooks, iPads, all that kind of stuff available just for students to utilize. And they can just check it out while they're there. And these items have been specifically purchased to support our students with diverse abilities. And so we're super, super excited to kind of have that available on campus. When it comes to accommodations, similar to Blue Ridge as well too, we work with our faculty, staff, and students to provide different types of accommodations for students. That could be specifically for your courses. It could be testing and note taking. We have peer note takers that will go to classes with students and or who are in their classes, and we'll work with students to basically gather notes. Do that confidentially, of course. The student who's a note taker submits that to our office. The notes get back to the student by way of our Accommodate system, and basically students are able to kind of receive that additional support when necessary. We also offer tons of assistive technology resources. And when you look at most of our UNC system colleges and universities, you're going to find a lot of these same things there as well. So that's one of the cool nuggets that I will tell you all as well. And then we also work with housing, our housing department, a residential life, to ensure housing accommodations for students who may require that as well too. And we also assist in campus events and activities. So if you come to commencement, if you come to orientation, different things like that, you will find us, our staff there, helping in some sort of way to ensure that each student is successful here at Central. Our actual motto in our office is ensuring access for every Eagle. And so we really do seek to do that in all that we do. We love to teach students about their rights and responsibilities. And again, as I said before, some of these programs and services you're going to find at a lot of the UNC system schools, but teaching students about their rights and responsibilities so that, one, students are aware of their rights, right? But they're also aware of their responsibilities, right? So how do I manage that now that I'm in this college setting with these differences that may be different from high school? As Angie said earlier, in college, you have to come to us. You have to do that self-reporting, right? And so because of that, we love to teach students just about how to navigate that in the college environment. Students can also receive faculty and staff mentoring, academic tutoring, learning support, coaching. We do coaching with students. And then we also do some trainings for faculty and staff in teaching them how to work with students with various documented diagnoses as well. One of the things that you'll also find at a lot of the UNC system schools will be student leadership opportunities. So within our office, we have a few. One where students can be peer mentors for other students with documented diagnoses. Students can also be desk assistants with us. They can also be desk assistants, and then undergraduate coordinators. That's the third one. So they can help us plan events and activities. And then we also are chartering now 2 honor societies, one that's specific to TRIO in collaboration with our other NCCU TRIO programs, which I'll talk about in just a second. And then one, we're charting a Delta Alpha Pi honor society on campus, which is the National Society for Students with Disabilities. Another unique thing that's unique to NCCU is our Summer Access and Success Program. And that is a program designed to help assist students with documented diagnosis who are first generation and or who are from limited income homes. And basically they can attend virtually throughout the summer, meet other students with similar backgrounds. And then some of those students also receive $700 scholarships at the start of the next semester. So next slide for me, April. Awesome. So a little bit about our NCCU TRIO Student Access Program. And in the chat box, I'm actually going to drop you all a link to the NC TRIO program statewide. So this is a great resource for students who have documented diagnosis, but also students who are first generation and from limited income backgrounds. So these programs are also statewide. We have about 90 statewide. And I serve as one of the directors for our one at NCCU, as well as on our advisory board for the state as our membership chair. But these programs really do provide tons of support to students by way of academic and support services. And so with our program specifically at NCCU, the TRIO Student Access Program, we're funded to serve our students with diverse abilities. So each year we take 100 students and we provide them with $700 to $1,000 scholarships, faculty and staff mentoring, coaching, travel. We have a trip coming up to Florida, which we may have to postpone now due to COVID. But we were taking a group of students to the University of Florida, as well as to, at one point, to University of Central Florida for tours, and everything that we do is free. And a lot of these TRIO programs, I dropped a link in the chat box, do those things for free as well for students. So that's just a great resource for you there. And that could be conference travel, that could be graduate school prep assistance, and different things of that nature. Last slide from April. All right, so just wanted to give you all a few more tips on how to prepare for college with DIVERSEabilities. You all are gonna continue to receive so many great nuggets and tips along the way today that I didn't want to overwhelm you with any. But some of the general things that I would tell you is that contact the colleges or universities that you're interested in early. You know, if you can start 6 to 12 months out just to learn more about the institution and its commitment to DIVERSEabilities. You know, every school handles different things differently. And so you want to make sure that you feel like you're going into a space where you're going to be your absolute best and thrive and different things of that nature. You want to also make another follow-up contact with that between 1 to 2 months before the semester starts, just to learn more about the accommodations registration process. Is there anything that you need to go ahead and submit now? Can you wait till a little bit later? But definitely when you get down to that 2 to 3 weeks before the semester, you want to submit all documentation to the Accessibility Service Office and schedule your accommodation meeting. One of the things that Angie pointed out is that process, right? And it's very similar at when the university system side as well too. You're going to do that intake meeting, you're going to submit that documentation, and then we're going to get those letters off to your professors. But you want to make sure that you start that process a little bit earlier because you know, you want to make sure that you get it off in a decent time. And so you're going to have a lot of students rushing in, and so you want to make sure that you are being proactive. In addition to that, you want to know your rights and responsibilities. You are entitled to non-discriminatory support under ADA and Section 504, and you know, own that as a part of your experience, right? I tell students all the time that accommodations are self-care, and so the same way you go to the doctor to get a checkup, the same way you go to the dentist to get your teeth cleaned, you know, you want to get your accommodations to make sure that you are able to be your best. And so, you know, take full advantage of that. Don't abuse that, but take full advantage of that opportunity to receive that support that you need. And then also you have responsibilities. One of the main ones being your responsibility to self-disclose so that you can receive the accommodations that you need. And so, you know, don't feel like you have to tell that to any and everyone. You tell that directly to your Accessibility Service Office, and they will work with you to ensure that the faculty that need to know about your accommodations specifically, not your diagnosis, but your accommodations, that they will be notified about that. You want to ask questions, any questions that you may be able to think of. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So I would just ask, what do I not know, right? And that staff member at the institution can give you tons of knowledge and wisdom there. But you may want to ask about what assistive technology do you all have available? How do you support specifically students with this specific diagnosis? You know, those are some questions where institutions can then, you know, go into depth about what they can provide you. And then you also want to participate in activities hosted by the SAS office. You'll be able to meet, you know, other friends and family and individuals with similar backgrounds and understanding as you. But then you also want to go and participate in other campus events as well so that you can continue to diversify your campus experience. And then you also want to ask about scholarships and funding opportunities. You can ask that specifically at your accessibility service offices, but to your financial aid offices, as well as just any other departments that may be on campus. And then just ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think many of our students learn that the more that they ask, the more they receive, the more they get answers. And so I just challenge you all to do that as you continue to navigate your prepping for college journey. And with that, that'll be all. Thank you, April.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kendrick. I really appreciate that. And you will see that he did put a link over in the chat with the North Carolina TRIO program statewide. And if you have any questions for him about NC Central or similarly what some of maybe the public institutions are doing, feel free to send that question over. We can help get that answered. And in the meantime, I'm going to pass things over to Ashley, who is with North Carolina Vocational Rehabilitation. Thank you so much, Ashley.
April, like April said, my name is Ashley McKenna. I am the Rehabilitation Services Manager for the Durham unit of our agency. So shout out Bull City. I can give a testimony to DeKendrick and his team over at NCCU. They run an amazing program over there, and our students are so successful at Central. So huge shout out for the work that they're doing over there. We love working with them. So vocational rehabilitation is a federally funded state agency. And what that means is that we have federal regulations. Our money comes from the federal budget. And there is a VR program in every single one of the 50 states. And because they are state agencies, they all operate a little bit differently. But all of us serve individuals with disabilities. And that is very broad. And it's purposeful that it's broad. So that could be substance use, mental health, intellectual, learning, and physical. And then we also have sister agency for services for the blind, so for anyone who's blind or low vision. And then we also have specialized caseloads for individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing. And we focus on competitive integrated employment, or CIE. And what that means is that we want to make sure that individuals with disabilities who want to go to work have every opportunity to be successful working in their community with typical and neuroatypical peers. So we want to make sure everyone has that access and that opportunity to work. So you might often hear us refer to as VR or Voc Rehab. Vocational rehabilitation is a little bit of a tongue twister. We are funded by federal tax dollars, and not all states do this, but North Carolina is wonderful, and they do kick us a little bit in our budget to help support the work that we're doing. We are policy driven. We do a very strict policy, but it is public. Anybody is welcome to look at that policy. It is on our website. And we do require, just like the colleges, we require documented disability. And if you're having difficulty identifying what your disability is, you're struggling, but you're not sure why, or you struggled for a long time and you know where your weaknesses are, but you need some guidance, you're still welcome to come apply for our services. We'll try to help you navigate that process of figuring out what's going on, and if you do have a diagnosis. And then just having a diagnosis is not enough. A diagnosis has to also provide a limitation or a barrier to employment. So we'll help you with that. And then we connect you with services, all with the end goal in mind, which would be competitive, integrated, community-based employment. So the process is a little bit lengthy, but I'm going to walk you through it so you know what to expect. This is from the high school perspective. So if you are a student in high school or you have a student in high school, there is VR representation for every public school in North Carolina, but we do not exclude individuals that are being homeschooled, going to charter schools or private schools. You would just have to connect with your local VR office. So all the local high schools do have access to our information. It's just a referral packet, it's an application, and some consents to share information and records. During the intake, you'll complete that application and give us back those signed consents, and we'll just get a little bit of background information about you, strengths, weaknesses, likes, dislikes, goals for after high school, areas of interest, how far into the transition process are you, where are you needing guidance and support. During the eligibility process, we're going to look over your medical and psychological documents. If you don't have exactly what we need to make a decision, then we will help you and acquire that documentation. We contract with psychologists to provide psychological evaluations if the information that you already have, either from your doctor or your school via your IEP, is outdated or not thorough enough for what we're looking for. So we'll help you get access to those records or get updated information. During the comprehensive assessment, we're going to review everything, and then we might do vocational evaluations or evaluations on job sites. We want to get information about how does this play into you going to work. Just giving you the opportunity to try a work setting, or if you just are unsure about what your general direction is, but you want to go to college and you just don't know what you want to study or what career path you might be interested in, we'll work with you to do evaluations to help narrow it down and do some career exploration. With all of that, we will then develop a plan of services. Just to confuse everyone, we call it the IPE. So if you have an IEP, it's very similar. The IEP, of course, is the individual education plan, which is an outline of services for your education goals. So the IPE, or the individualized plan for employment, works very similarly. It is an outline of services to help you reach your job goal. And then once we all agree on the services and the job goal, we're going to go ahead and start those services and start making progress towards that job goal. And that could include college. So a successful closure for us and the client means that all services have been provided. The client has been offered employment in their job goal. They have worked for at least 90 days and everyone is happy. So when we say everyone is happy, feedback from the employer is good and the client is satisfied with the job. So VR services, this is just a brief overview. We have hundreds of services. We have been very creative and we are out of the box thinkers in trying to really individualize every plan that we put together for clients. So guidance and counseling, that is access to the expertise and experience that our counselors have. All of our counselors are graduate master's level counselors. They have backgrounds in mental health, in rehab counseling, in social work, in addictions counseling, all kinds of counseling. So we make sure that we have a wide range of information and experience available to help individuals in navigating going to work. We do career exploration to help you narrow down what would be a good fit with respect to any limitations that you have. We do supported employment and work adjustment, which are different levels of job coaching. So some of our individuals may need help one-on-one with acclimating to the work site. Project Search is another program that we're a partner in, and that is at the high school level. And that is just another way to help individuals with disabilities prepare for employment. It's an international program, and the first one in North Carolina was actually in Durham. And then we do paid internships. So if we have clients who are just having trouble getting their foot in the door, or they're in a field that requires paid work experience before they get a job, then we make sure that we give them that opportunity by setting up internships, and we pay for those internships, which is obviously more enticing to a internship site that they're getting an intern and the intern is being paid, but they don't have to pay for it. So it's a win-win for everybody. We have a huge role in post-secondary training for our clients, and that does include a financial piece. So in addition to being eligible for VR services, if the person is also financially eligible, we can help with the financial expenses that come with college, and we know it is not cheap. So we have the ability to assist with tuition and fees, books, housing, meals. If the individual does not have health insurance, we have the ability to help with the required health insurance for full-time college students, and then other support services along the way that pop up, such as supplies. And then pre-employment transition services is also known as Preouts. This has been a huge initiative with the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, which was signed into law in 2014 by President Obama. And with this, we are tasked with making sure that we are providing services to the transition population, which would be like the 14 to 21 age range, and making sure they have access to career guidance and exploration of post-secondary training options while still in high school. So this is just a quick snapshot about the Preouts program. So it says 14 to 24, 14 to 21 would be our K through 12 population. And then we do have some services that are specific to that late transition age, but might be early in college age range. Do you have to have a disability and apply for services and then go through the same process as any other client? So each office with our agency has a transition team, and those are counselors that specifically work with our youth population and are better trained in navigating IEPs and preparing for post-secondary and requesting accommodations for academic training, all those things that transition encompasses. We have counselors that are very knowledgeable and experienced in those areas. And we make sure to connect them with accessibility services on campuses wherever they are attending college, and that they have supports. And just like DeKendrick mentioned, assistive technology, that is one of our favorite tools for helping students with disabilities be successful in the post-secondary setting. So for eligibility, they must be a student with a disability, have to be enrolled in a secondary or post-secondary institution, 14 to 21 under an IEP or 504, and they do have to come through VR in order to get those services, of course. And then we have 5 main areas that we focus on in the secondary setting, which is work-based learning, job exploration, workplace readiness, self-advocacy, and then counseling on whatever training opportunities may be available for post-secondary training, either in their area or if they're willing to go outside of their immediate like home location opportunities that they would be able to go away to school for. So post-secondary supports, we help them navigate what supports might be available on the campus that they're choosing to attend. DeKendrick mentioned it, so I won't spend too much time here, but note takers, reader services, tutoring services. And then, of course, we do help with tuition fees for those that are financially eligible. We are a sister agency with the North Carolina Assistive Technology Program. We love internships for our college students. Most of them have to do internships anyway, so if we can help them get paid internships, I think that looks better on the resume anyway. And then we also help them navigate the difference between IDEA in the K through 12 setting versus ADA in the post-secondary setting so that they understand, like everybody said before me, rights and responsibilities for the college student.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ashley, for providing all of that great information. I think that we've had some messages come in. I think perhaps people are getting some new information this afternoon as ways to help themselves or help their students. So thank you so much. You're welcome to send Ashley a message over in the chat feature, or we do have some folks using the Q&A feature. Or you can wait at the end, which we're getting towards the end here. You'll have an opportunity to ask your question verbally if you'd rather do that. So I'm going to pop in here and cover this section of the presentation. As I had said earlier, I am not Maddie Perry. I'm April Cleary, and I'm with CFNC. But our presenter from UNCW had a minor emergency earlier, so she's not able to join us. But she did provide some good information, and I think it's important for us to go over it, even though I am not Maddie, because Maddie's point of view here, because I think when we put this panel together, it was important for us to have different points of view here, right? So talking about what services, you know, like CFNC offers, like as part of the state, and then talk a little bit about how our community colleges work through DIVERSEabilities and accessibilities when you transition to college, as well as our four-year institutions, and also vocational rehabilitation. So there's all of these different resources for you. And the point of view that Maddie was able to offer is she is a student at UNCW, and she founded the Disability Alliance Association, which is a student-led group. And so this brings in a lot of the self-advocacy and different things that you can do for yourself or your students can do for that point of view. So I'm going to do the best I can to kind of talk about some of the resources that Maddie offered before I pass this baton over, okay? So Maddie wanted to make sure that we talked a little bit about the difference between, you know, what your accommodations and whatnot might be at the high school level versus college. And I know we've talked about that some already, but so in high school, you automatically get a 504 plan in place if you're disabled or you require specific accommodations. So some of you may be familiar with that already. In college, there is no automatic, you know, process that you'll just kind of be given. You've got to disclose your disability. You've got to make sure that you explain this to someone and what requirements you are going to need as a student at that institution. So as you have heard already from our panelists, most schools have some sort of disability resource center or department, and they're all called different things. And so you need to make sure that you're doing a little bit of research, go onto your college's website, you know, if you have some different institutions you're interested in, look around, make some phone calls, talk to folks. And this is where actually getting on that campus may be helpful also if you're able to do a tour or something and meet some of these folks and see what sort of resources the institution has, like resource centers, okay? So it's important, Maddie wanted me to make sure that I shared with you, it's important that you seek out that center, the staff member, whoever it is who handles disability requirements right away. immediately once you've been accepted to the institution, you've accepted your acceptance, and you say, okay, school, this is where I'm going. This is a good place for me to be. Now, here in high school, I had a 504 plan in place. They're going to have someone you can talk to on campus who's very familiar with it. And these are some of the things that I really need in order to be successful at your institution. Okay, so it's important to make sure that you are communicating with folks. There we go. And so what can help with a smooth transition is that preparation piece. So it's hard to ask for what you need if you have not identified that yourself in very specific terms. So for example, you may have, and I believe one of our panelists talked about this, but you may have very specific testing needs. And so it's important for you to identify these in advance, have something, typed up, written down. Here are some of the things that I really need in order to be successful at the institution, explain why they're all necessary. Make sure you have any documentation that you might need. If you have a doctor's note, a letter, some reason why you were getting previous accommodations and why it's medically necessary. As Maddie says here, there's no such thing as too much documentation. And a lot of the stuff you're going to need at one institution, you'll probably need it at another institution too. And so if you're thinking, well, I'm considering 3 or 4 different schools, how do I know which school needs what? You go ahead and really get your list going, be specific, your accommodations, any doctor's notes, whatever it is you might have, and just get it all ready and organized. You're probably going to need a lot of the same stuff from institution to institution. So make sure you're taking any notes, and this is really important for all high school students transitioning into college. No matter who you are and what you've got going on, you've got to make sure you're taking notes of who you're talking with, their name, when you talk to them, what they told you, because for all of us, all of this can get kind of intermingled, right? It's hard to remember what we did yesterday, let alone very specific conversations we may have with different institutions. So make sure that you have a notebook or something and that you're keeping track of all of these conversations, and that's maybe where you're able to keep all of your medical documentation as well, and that might keep things organized and convenient for you. So Maddie also wanted me to talk about knowing your rights. So we've said self-advocate a lot here, and that's important for everyone. So make sure you're communicating your needs, make sure you know your needs, and then make sure you communicate them, and make sure you're aware of your rights. So look at your institution's disability policies. You're going to find a lot of this on the website, and you might want to, on their websites, and you may want to pay specific attention to housing, parking, and classroom policies. Read through the ADA and make sure you know what accommodations you are legally entitled to have. And so that's important so that you have a list and you know that you'll be able to get the different accommodations that you need here. And ask about the ADA regulated aspects of the institution, like handicap doors, elevators, dietary restrictions, lecture options for hearing and visually impaired individuals. And so it's important to do some of that research, and the more you know, the easier you'll be able to have the accommodations that you may need at the different institutions that you are looking at, okay? And just a few more things. So build a rapport. So this is important for students also. So Maddie said that another important aspect of being a disabled student is to build a rapport and build those relationships with professors and disability accommodation related staff. So it's important that it's not just, that you're communicating with admissions or you're communicating with the disability resources department or office on campus. Also, you're going to have a lot of different professors, right? If you're taking, let's just say you're going full-time, maybe you've got 5 classes this semester, that's 5 different professors or instructors. And they may or may not have had students in the past that had kind of what you have going on, whatever that might be. So it's really important for you to, getting back to that self-identifying, self-advocating sort of piece of this, and make sure that you are communicating and letting them know what you have going on and, what it is you may need or why you may be missing one day or something. So that communication piece is really important in building those relationships. And so Maddie says that having a specific person that you work with and know well can make all the difference to receiving those accommodations. So make sure you're communicating. And then practice your disabilities and accommodations to your professors to your comfort level. So like I said, the more that they know about you and your needs, the easier it is for everyone to kind of work together. And so Maddie says that she likes to send an email to each professor introducing herself and explaining disabilities and how each accommodation may help. And so it's just really great if someone knows what's going on in advance, so they aren't surprised if something comes up. Or, you know, I would much rather have someone let me know what's going on in advance so I can help you be successful in my class or whatever it might be. And the last slide that we have from Maddie here is don't be afraid to ask for help. There's absolutely no shame in asking questions or needing help. You have folks that want to help you succeed and have a great college experience, but you've got to make sure that you are communicating and asking for what you need. So make sure that you are starting with a disability resources office, or if there is a student association on campus, that can be a great way for you to get near peer assistance as you go through the process. But there's going to be at least one person on our campuses who's dedicated to helping our students receive required accommodations. And your professors can be a good resource for their classes, but then they may also say, oh, you know what, 2 years ago I had a student that had the same stuff going on, and let me tell you what they found out and what to kind of do through school. So you just never know. And make sure, you know, there's no such thing as asking too many questions. Ask your doctors for recommendations about accommodations, advice, talk to other students. We talked about that. And then just make sure that you are communicating. I think that Maddie's big message here for students is to make sure that you're self-identifying, self-communicating, do your research. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and just make sure you kind of are letting folks know what's going on, because I think you're going to find your institutions really want to help you succeed. And the only way they can really do that is if you let them know what's going on and specifically what it is you may need to help you succeed. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot them over in the chat or the Q&A feature. And I'm going to go ahead and pass things over to Brittany Privet now with CFNC. Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you, April, and thank you everybody for, again, attending and learning more about all we have to offer when it comes to opportunities in North Carolina and supporting our students who have learning differences, especially when it comes to that transition from high school to college. I am Brittany Privet, and I am a regional representative with the College Foundation. I live and work out of Wilmington, and I work with students and families specifically out of the 910 area code. So I'm down here in southeastern North Carolina. Now, one of the biggest things that I want to make sure that I reiterate is that communication is key throughout this process. And one of the biggest differences between high school and college is that college is so much more autonomous than high school. You are in charge of your learning. You are in charge of reaching out for resources in college. So I just want to give you some tips and a little bit of understanding of what the transition from high school to college is going to look like, and some of the differences between accommodations and modifications that you're going to find at the collegiate level. So when it comes to high school, there are a few differences between the resources that you're going to receive and the modifications and accommodations you're going to receive from when you were in high school over to college. Some of those differences are going to really stress, really kind of giving you a better understanding of how to work with your learning differences and advocate for yourself, much like everybody has said on the call this evening or this afternoon. And I definitely want to be respectful of your time. So I will be kind of breezing through this information, but feel free to ask any questions that you may have in the chat or the Q&A section. So in high school, students are supported through a support team consisting of a school psychologist, a school counselor, teachers, along with the students' parents or guardians. And that team is going to work together to create a 504 plan or an IEP plan so that students have modifications within the classroom and accommodations depending on what their learning difference is. It's also possible for modifications to kind of change or alter a curriculum at the high school level. However, in college, the student doesn't necessarily have a team assigned to them that rallies around them for this purpose. The student is in charge of reaching out for resources, so contacting that student's accessibilities office or the student's disabilities office, contacting these professionals that you're hearing on the call today so that you can not only advocate for yourself, but learn more about what resources are available to you at that specific college. Again, colleges definitely vary in the resources they provide, so it is important to start this process early and start communicating early. I would definitely say your first step in this process is reaching out to the admissions office and asking about what possibilities there are on your campus based on your learning difference, and seeing if you could talk to somebody from the Student Accessibility or Disabilities Office and start this process early. When I say early, I mean as early as junior year. You can go ahead and start having these conversations, because at the collegiate level, again, you're going to have an office that you work with more so than the team that you're assigned in high school. There are no 504 plans or IEP plans in college, and modifications are very rare. Typically, colleges will provide accommodations, which they will give you resources to assist you, but it isn't really common for a college to create modifications to alter or change a curriculum for a particular major due to different learning differences. We can go to the next slide. Now, common accommodations, we've talked about these throughout this presentation. Of course, note takers, extended testing time, typically private or low distraction testing rooms, assistive technology. So if you need different technology to help you access information easier, or to help you with different accessible things like Braille, things like that, definitely keep that in mind. You do have access to those things at the collegiate level. You may have opportunities to receive technology for taking notes or answering essay questions. Some schools will allow you to register for your classes early to ensure that you have different professors or different classes that are going to fit your needs. And sometimes there are waivers or substitutions for different foreign language requirements. But again, these are things that you need to talk to your professors about and talk to the Student Accessibilities Office about, to ensure that you're receiving all of the resources that you're entitled to due to any learning differences that you may have. Again, we really encourage you to start this process early, and by early, I definitely recommend reaching out to the admissions office of the colleges that you're thinking about attending, or you're going to apply to, and talk to them about different accommodations that may be provided to you. Also talk to them about how you should craft your application so that they understand that you have a learning difference, but they also understand that you're ready for collegiate academic work. Communication is key throughout this process. Again, the first office you're going to want to reach out to is the admissions office, but they may refer you to different offices to kind of help you along the way. Not only is that going to include the student accessibilities or disabilities support services, but it may include housing. Do you have a comfort animal? Do you have different accommodations that you need to have within the residence halls? They may talk to you about different accommodations they have at the classroom level, but making sure that you communicate about this stuff is extremely important. Ask about housing accommodations should you need them. Not all disabilities or differences are visible, so make sure that you talk about different things that you may need to make sure that you are successful at the collegiate level. You are paying for this stuff, so we encourage you to communicate and reach out and ask, because this is stuff that you're going to be paying for and maybe included in your tuition and fees, just based on what the school provides. So definitely check out different offices on campus and talk to them about what you have going on. Last but not least, I really encourage you to seek out community. A lot of our speakers this evening talked about different groups that you may have opportunities to work with near peers or students who are also going through the same things you are, or may have the same accommodations that you may have. Parents, there are Facebook groups out there for support within the university community, but also in the national community. So I definitely recommend reaching out on Facebook and doing some research on different opportunities to join these organizations. And then there are clubs on campuses to help you when it comes to connecting with and creating a sense of community on campus with students who are like yourself, or maybe totally different from yourself. But creating a sense of community definitely helps with retention and helping you be successful at the college level. All right, and I think that's my last slide. So I just wanted to give you a couple of tips to kind of help you transition and sum up a lot of the things that everyone said this evening. I'm going to turn it back over to April so she can close us out.
Thank you so much, Brittany. And I just want to kind of close this up here with, I mentioned that we are going to have recording of this emailed out to all those who registered within a week or so. But we also have a YouTube channel at CFNC where we end up putting really all of these different recordings that we do onto our YouTube page. So this will be there as well. And if you go to cfnc.org/events, this is where you'll find other statewide virtual programs that we have like this of different topics. We list them there. So if you are thinking, well, this was pretty good, what else can we look at and see with different panelists? So we'll have some information there. And then this slide right here has our presenters on it again. I do know that folks are still sending questions over in the chat. So if you still have some questions, you are welcome to do that. We have some really great conversations going on over there. So feel free to use those. But in the meantime, I want to close this out by thanking everyone for attending this panel, and then also all of our wonderful presenters. We had Angie from Blue Ridge Community College. We had DeKendrick from North Carolina Central University, Ashley from Vocational Rehabilitation. I acted as Maddie from UNCW, and then Brittany, one of our CFNC regional representatives. So thank you all for attending. I am going to go ahead and stop the recording feature now. And if anyone has questions and you want to unmute, you're welcome to. Just remember that everyone else can hear you as well. And we will be here for the next few minutes to answer that. Did any other panelists have anything that they wanted to add?
I'll just make a quick note. My
yeah.
my first name is spelled incorrectly in the email, so I don't want anybody to email me and I don't get it, so I don't respond.
Look at that, me typing too fast. I'm so sorry. Yeah,
no worries. I do it all the time myself.
Oh, I typed too fast. I'm so sorry. But yes, so make sure you spell Ashley's name correctly. Don't do what I did when you send an email to her. Thank you, Ashley. And thank you all for attending, and we'll be here to answer questions and handle the chat.